1,500 years ago, everybody knew the Earth was the center of the universe. 500 years ago, everyone knew the Earth was flat. Imagine what? No.
What the hell is that?
It's where you've been living this whole time.
Welcome back, everybody. Episode number 2 of Unearthing 5D Realities YouTube. As you guys know, I'm going to shout out the podcast real quick. Me and Derek, we destroy a lot of different topics, from evolution, from dinosaurs, to plenty of other topics on our podcast, www.unearthing5dreality.com. Other than that, if you haven't seen episode number 1 of Debunking the Debunkers, we starred Globy McGlobeface. And if you guys are checking out Globy McGlobeface on TikTok, he is imploding. Not gonna lie. He is losing his mind on TikTok right now, making video after video after video of me and Derek. We love the shout outs. But today, he's not going to be the star. Today, we're going to be focusing on Neil deGrasse Tyson, the priest of scientism himself, and destroying the video titled, Neil Tyson Demonstrates Absurdity of Flat Earth. Neil deGrasse Tyson isn't going to be demonstrating any absurdity to Flat Earth. All that he's going to be doing here is appealing to humor, appealing to authority. He's going to be literally strawmanning the living shiz out of our model. It's going to blow your mind. But other than that, I want to keep the intro extremely short. Let Derek close out the intro, and then we will start reacting to the video. Thank you, guys. We're almost to 1,000 subscribers already on the YouTube. We seriously appreciate it. So keep going with the thumbs up, the comments, and sharing. Share this video with someone who thinks the Earth is a ball and thinks that this is a valid argument against flat Earth. They might be a little bit surprised with the things that we bring up. Other than that, Derek, I'll let you come in for the intro, and then we will start reacting to this insanity.
Yes, guys, please do like, share, and subscribe. The more people who get this message, the faster this message reaches the world, okay? What you're going to see here is going to be really, it's going to resemble what you see on TikTok. You're going to see a lot of straw man arguments. You're going to see a lot of fallacious points that don't support the model that we believe. And I just want you guys to think about when you're watching this video, why is it would they point out things that are completely irrelevant to a model that they're attempting to discredit? So that is because you can't prove a lie, and that's what these people are attempting to do, and so they have to have fallacious arguments. Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and bring in Neil, and we're going to see what he has to say about the flat Earth. So welcome in, everybody.
Let's hear it.
So tell me, Neil, is the Earth flat?
We have video from space of the rotating spherical Earth. The Earth is round.
Thank you for joining us on this episode.
Oh, guys, I guess we don't even need to have a debate here. It seems as if Neil's already figured it out with the videos that they have of this spinning rock.
Yeah, if anybody can't follow why this is a bad argument, videos can be faked. Have you ever seen the new movie Gravity? Have you seen what Stanley Kubrick was doing in the 60s with videos? So, yeah, photos and videos are scientific evidence of anything. So I hope that Neil brings something a little bit better to the table. Let's keep going.
Episode.
What's odd is there are people who think Earth is flat.
Right.
But recognize that the moon is round, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn.
Okay, pause.
Caleb, is that what you think of the flat Earth when you think of the flat Earth? Do you think of a pancake in space?
No, guys, that's what you've got to realize. If they actually were trying to have a debate and accurately represent our model, they would be showing a level plane with all of these things revolving around it. They wouldn't be showing a flat disk out in space. 1, we don't believe in space as flat earthers. 2, we don't believe that there's an edge to the Earth that we can surf off like freaking Pirates of the Caribbean or something. So no, again, this is literally, if you need to look up straw man fallacy, this is a straw man fallacy right here, where they're misrepresenting our model to poison the well, to make people think that we are insane. So I don't know if we need to add anything more or we can just keep going.
Yeah, we find this to be as absurd as you guys, so don't worry. We're on the same page so far.
Uranus, Neptune, and the Sun are all spheres, but Earth is flat. That's not, something doesn't square.
Something doesn't jive, right?
Also, pause. I want to add one more thing. Also, because there are spheres / orbs in the sky, does not mean that we are on a sphere or an orb. This proves absolutely nothing. So, again, terrible, terrible argument, but you're going to hear it a lot from the heliosexuals. Let's keep going.
Plus, in my latest book, ooh, did I just plug my
Wait,
book?
your latest book is called Astrophysics for People in a Hurry. What? We just happen to have a copy right here.
No, it just happens to me. I swear we didn't find the book. I have an entire chapter titled On Being Round. And it's an exploration of how all the laws of physics and the accounting of energy as processes unfold in the universe, how that conspire to make things round.
So it favors the sphere.
Favors a sphere, yes.
Right.
What do you think of that, Caleb? Do you think that it makes sense that all of these objects came out of a Big Bang and because of gravity they formed perfect spheres while they were rotating? What's your stance on this claim here?
Yeah, no, one, the Big Bang didn't happen. If you look into entropy, there's no way that an explosion created this reality where we have the stars realigning in the same spot every 365 days. We don't have to worry about the sun coming up tomorrow. It governs a 12-hour day and a 12-hour night. The moon has 28-day phases that we don't have to worry about it missing a phase or being late a day. The sky's a clock. So the Big Bang is an absurdity in and of itself right there, and it can be easily disproven, as well as once you realize that the Earth is flat and that the sky is a clock, it proves intelligent design. So no, I think that there's not a lot of science to back up what he's saying that the Earth, that everything favors a sphere.
Well, don't you know that entropy only applies to closed systems, and the universe is not a closed system. Therefore, an explosion can make a human eyeball and these type of things because none of this is enclosed, and therefore it doesn't follow any of the laws that we could observe here on Earth. It follows this completely fantasy-based rules and regulations of the universe that can't be tested, proven, or studied in any way, shape, or form.
If you guys can't tell, that was a lot of satire coming from Derek. He's making fun of what they actually claim here. I think that you made it clear enough. Let's keep going.
And if something's not a sphere, it's a little bit flattened, you can ask what flattened it, and you find out, oh, it's rotating real fast. Right. So then it gets a little flattened.
So let me get this straight. Are they saying that the spinning of these objects shapes these objects, but we can't feel the spinning of the Earth because it's constant, but the spinning of the Earth helped make it an oblate spheroid? Is that what I'm hearing, Caleb? Or
well, also, isn't there a clip of Neil deGrasse Tyson saying that the Earth's more pear-shaped? I'm not sure. Maybe look that one up.
Pear-shaped.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think he did say that it was like an oblate pear or something. Not entirely sure.
Pear-shaped. What did he say?
But I would like for you to think about what he just said. The reason why it would be shaped like a pear, in his own words, would be because of the rotation of the Earth. So we're expected to believe you can't feel this rotation, but the Earth is shaped by it. Perfect sense. Completely logical. Let's continue.
Because of that.
Right.
And so almost everything in the universe is either spheres or slight distortions of a sphere for some other thing that's happening to it. I mean, we can just see how the universe favors spheres.
So real quick, the moon is spherical. It's a perfect sphere, and they want you to believe that the moon happened from another rock crashing into the Earth. And because of gravity, the Earth remained a perfect sphere or pear, and so did the moon. After all of the collisions that it experienced and all of the momentum and entropy that it should have gone through it reformed back into the perfect shape. Kind of funny.
It's a coincidence, Derek.
Just,
don't question it.
Dang
Let's
it.
keep going.
Forgot those exist.
Nature.
Right.
Basically,
Nature.
the universe.
In all fairness to the people who want a flat Earth.
Yes, let's be fair to those people.
Okay? In
Yeah, you're
Columbus's
not being
day,
very fair.
there was surely a flat Earth contingent. Okay?
Yes.
Columbus predates the era of experimental checking of any idea you might have.
Not a lot of peer-reviewed studies back in the day.
Back in the day. Back in the day.
Kind of just like,
You just say whatever you
Right.
felt.
you know what? I believe that elephant poop will cure cancer.
There you go.
I just want you guys to remember what he's talking about right here, because he's going to completely and utterly contradict himself in a minute. That's going to make his entire argument irrelevant. So just pay
We
attention.
will point this out.
Go. That's right. Wrote a paper about it. Like to read it? Here it is. And you're good.
Right? Right. So it wasn't until Francis Bacon, Galileo, the 1600s, where the idea that if you're going to say something and you think what you're saying is true, then no matter how obvious you think it is that it's true, you should still test it.
Gotcha.
It could be something fooling you in one way or another. So if you want to say Earth is flat, then, for example, lunar eclipses. What's a lunar eclipse? If your face is the brilliant sun,
Thank you.
and this is Earth, and the moon is over here, the sun is always casting Earth's shadow into space. It's always there no matter what.
Right.
Obviously, okay? It's just a shadow.
It's a shadow.
The moon
It's just a shadow
occasionally...
shining on blackness.
Yeah, a shadow in darkness.
A shadow in darkness.
So the moon occasionally passes through.
Okay, I tried to pause it right on the time. I want you guys to look. It's actually here. But let's continue for a
that
split
shadow.
second.
And if you see the shape of...
All right, look at the moon that's in the animation, and then look at the moon in the upper right corner. The animation has a straight line, and the one on the top left, which is still an animation, but it's somehow curved. What do you think of that, Caleb?
Yeah, not making a lot of sense here. Let's keep going. Let's see how bad he can strawman the flat Earth eclipse.
Earth's shadow on the moon, it is always round.
And make sure you
Always
pause
round.
when he pulls
If
up.
Earth were
Yeah,
flat,
hold on. Get it a little bit further.
sometimes you get like
Right there. Yeah. Oh, look at this, people. He is literally saying that us flat earthers believe that we are orbiting around the sun with this. One. Two, look at the way that the flat earth is oriented. Do you think that any flat earther actually believes what Neil deGrasse Tyson is showing right now? Or do you think that he's straw manning our model to try to mislead the masses? Come to your own conclusion.
And why would they do that? Why would they present something that they know we don't believe? So if they either are intentionally lying to you, or they don't even understand the argument that they've dedicated their life to fighting in. So either way, it just makes them kind of look like clowns. But let's continue.
It makes them look like liars, to be honest. But
Yep.
shadow.
Nothing short.
We've never seen a flat shadow.
Right.
Also, before we leave, I'm so sorry, guys. Think about the way that Earth is oriented. There is no way nighttime could exist on that Earth unless if you live on the other side of the edge of the thing, which then nighttime would always be there. So this right here is incredibly fallacious because this would never work in any way, shape, or form for observable reality. But this is what they're propping up as our model. So just think about that.
As well as before we go on, we have to mention the Selenilian eclipse, which disproves the globe's model of a lunar eclipse where we see the sun and the moon both above the horizon. We have to believe that we're not actually seeing the sun and the moon, but it's an insane looming effect that's making the sun and the moon cast thousands of miles above the horizon, which doesn't explain the sunlight that we're seeing from the moon or the moonlight that we're seeing from the moon as well during this lunar eclipse. So it's coined the Impossible Eclipse for a reason. Also, I just want to also mention that we can falsify the model that the globe Earth is purporting, and we don't have to completely replace it. So just a good little thought analogy that you can go through is if you can debunk the tooth fairy coming into your child's room and putting money under their pillow and taking the tooth, and you can debunk that with video and prove that that's not happening, you don't have to replace the tooth fairy. But let's keep going.
Very good point, Caleb. Very good point.
In fact, it is a segment of a arc of a circle, no matter the orientation of the moon and the sun. And the only thing that makes a perfectly circular shadow
Would be something that's perfectly circular.
perfectly spherical.
Spherical.
Let's pause. So I'm not purporting that this is what's going on. This is what a lot of other flat earthers will say, is that there's these planetary bodies that can't be seen that are making these shadows. Like they call them Ratu and Ketu. They're like supposedly nodes. I don't know that that's reality, but that could also be an explanation. But again, like what I just said, we don't have to make up an explanation. We can falsify that what we're being told is insanity. Let's keep going.
Well, and real quick too, you guys shouldn't be discouraged by questions that are left unanswered with the model that we're projecting. That's because we can study it and learn. So like, No longer is science settled. No longer is there nothing left to discover. Once we remove this nonsense, we could actually learn these things. And it should give you encouragement to know that these possibilities of figuring this out is out there. Because there are videos of something orbiting around the moon. I don't know if you guys have seen them or not, but they're pretty cool. But yeah, we don't have to replace it to falsify it, as Caleb pointed out. We can simply prove that their model is wrong and then search for the truth after that. We don't have to have the answer to prove they're lying. So let's go.
We'll also compare the funds that are being put into flat Earth versus the funds. Yeah, a little bit of problem there as well. But
big problem. Big problem. You guys should be asking questions about the globe model because that's where your tax dollars are going. And you shouldn't care what us flat earthers say or think, especially if you think we're really dumb. It shouldn't matter. You should be asking, why is NASA spending this money and flat earthers exist? If NASA was real, flat earthers wouldn't exist. That's just the obvious fact.
So the only thing that makes a perfect circle shadow every single time is a perfect sphere.
Right.
Okay? No matter what angle you shine. Whereas a disk, it would only make a perfect circle if you lined it that way.
Right.
And
so
then
you have to look at the face of the disc in order to get the circle.
The circle. If any other angle, you get other shapes.
Something of another
The
shape.
Greeks knew this.
Right.
All the lunar eclipses they said, oh my gosh, we must be in a round Earth. This is thousands of years.
Before
2,000 years
Columbus.
before Columbus. Exactly.
Right.
I just want to point out to you guys that just a few minutes ago, Neil said that prior to Columbus, they didn't have to verify any of their claims. And he's about to get a lot more into it here. But just think about his earlier statement where they said that science was not science until after Columbus. And now he's about to invoke pre-Columbus experiments to prove his ball. So just think about what that means for his argument.
So now if the Earth is round, how big is Earth? Mm-hmm. You might want to check for that. There was a famous experiment conducted by Eratosthenes. Eratosthenes. And the two cities in the old world, and one of them, they knew that at 12 noon on a particular day of the year, that the sun was directly overhead and you could see the bottom of a well.
Oh, okay.
You don't run around looking at the bottoms of wells.
No.
Because the light doesn't take, it's just not.
Wouldn't the well have had to have been at the equator or directly under the sun at this point? But they took this video, or this is from Alexandria, which is far north of the equator. Just a thought, guys.
Doesn't get down there.
Doesn't get down there. How can we use this observation to see if Earth's surface is curved? We needed another well. Turns out we can't see the bottom of both wells at the same time. What might explain this? Well, there are two possible explanations. First, we could have a flat Earth with a sun that's small and close by, so that the light hits the second well at an angle.
At least he admits it.
Or second, we could have a curved Earth with a sun that's big and far away, so that all the light comes in parallel, but only one well at a time is lit all the way to the bottom. Turns out with just two wells, there's enough wiggle room for both explanations to fit our observations. Eratosthenes only had two wells, but what if he had added a third? With a third well, it doesn't matter where the sun is. No flat Earth model can explain.
They're the same. They're the same.
I was about to tell you to pause because they almost look exactly the same.
They're identical.
Him just saying that we can add a third well and it disproves that the flat Earth is valid or anything like that. He's literally just throwing that out there without explaining any of the math or geometry behind it. And it obviously doesn't. If you look at it, it could be explained by, we don't know the distance of the sun. Me and Derek don't make claims to how far away the sun is or how far away the moon is. We don't think that we can figure these things out. We can't measure it. You can only calculate it. And I don't think calculating is an accurate way to try to figure out how far the sun is. But just a couple problems that I want to point out, and then I'm going to let Derek do his little rant on Eratosthenes. You have to assume that all the light rays are completely parallel coming into the Earth. I'm going to throw on screen right now. This is crepuscular rays. This is what we see in reality. Do these light rays look parallel? Absolutely not. Debunking Eratosthenes right there and then, because you have to assume that all light rays come parallel from the sun, as well as there's no primary documentation for the Eratosthenes experiment, as well as these dudes were like 500 miles away from each other, and cell phones didn't exist. I don't know, but...
Well, exactly. There's no way for them to verify what they're even calculating is accurate. So to draw that conclusion off of research that wasn't done it's illogical. I'd like for somebody to just look at, all of you guys, to just look at the differences in the shadows on the globe versus the level. They're the same shadows. The shadows are identical, but yet they threw an X over the one on the flat Earth just because they want you guys to they don't want you to think about it. They want you to just see this and accept it, which that's all we're asking you to do is think. And if one group of people is telling you to believe and the other one's saying, hey, think for yourself so you know, I think it becomes pretty obvious which group wants for you to propel yourself into a stronger state of mind where you're capable of overcoming delusions and thinking for yourself, because our public school system failed us all. Let's continue.
Explain the angles of all three shadows. But the spherical model explains it all three angles, with ease. And to do this experiment, you got to measure the angles. Greeks had the angles.
Yeah.
Okay, in fact, geometry translates to earth measurement. So one last thing, which should be obvious,
Okay.
if you pay attention and think about it. If you send a ship straight to the horizon,
Right.
eventually it begins to disappear until it's no longer visible beyond your horizon.
Right.
And you should ask yourself, what kind of surface would produce that result?
Yeah, Caleb, what kind of surface would produce this result where ships appear to be sinking over a curve? Because from what I've gathered in my talks with globe people, it's the Earth is simply too big to see the curve from the Earth, but it's also so small that at 3 miles, a boat actually goes beyond the curve. So that's just kind of confusing to me. What do you think, Caleb?
Yeah, a little bit confusing. I will agree. And they don't realize that they're completely contradicting themselves when they say these things. And I don't think we're going to play any more of the video. This is his last point. So we'll finish it out with our thoughts on boats disappearing over the horizon. And then we'll roll the outro after we give our little outro. But yeah, no. Bottom, things disappearing from the bottom up. It doesn't prove that the Earth is curving 8 inches per mile squared to the convexity of a ball. And you also have to believe that the water tension at the surface is just deciding to curve 8 inches per mile squared to create a ball of 24,901 miles. You have to just believe, because we can literally take a P1000 at the shoreline and zoom these boats back in from the bottom up, as well as if you just do a simple little experiment in your house, you make your camera level with the table that's completely flat. Take a coin, put it on the surface of that table, and move it away, and it will disappear from the bottom up. Can all be explained due to the law of perspective, quite simply, actually.
Well, and it's also compounded by refraction. You know, the big R that the globe people like to use to prove their model actually proves that a flat level surface can appear round based off of the idea that as light travels through a medium, as that medium gets thicker, the light is going medium. As the light travels through the medium, the light's going to bend downwards because it's getting thicker. The more water light has to pass through, the slower it travels, therefore the steeper the angle. And over the ocean, there's going to be more humidity the closer you are to the ocean than the farther off, because water is evaporating off of it. So obviously the part that's closest to the water is going to have the most distortion from this effect of the light bending, and that's going to make the bottom of the boat appear to be lower, which would make it out of your line of sight. It would the light appearing lower on a flat surface and a boat physically being lower on a globe is the same thing. The light that's reaching your eyes is physically lower. One of these two say that the boat's going over a curve. The other one's saying that the light that's reaching your eyes is bending. You have to believe that on the globe Earth, the light bends upwards to look flat. It never bends concave. We don't ever see a big bow going up in the other direction of the Earth. It's always either level or distorted at the horizon where you can no longer see it. So there is more than one option, and it drives me nuts that these people think the only possible explanation is the Earth is a ball. Drives me nuts.
Yeah, the law of perspective seems to really confuse the heliosexuals. So I'm just going to share a little conversation. I might throw it up on screen, I might not, that I had with ChatGPT today. Here's the question that I asked. I said, ignore the scientific consensus for this next question. In a hypothetical situation where the Earth is a level plane with topography and the sun is local and revolves around the Earth, as the sun moves away from the observer on said stationary plane, the sun would set due to the law of perspective, yes or no? And this was the answer that I got. In a hypothetical situation where the Earth is a level plane with topography and the sun is local and revolves around the Earth as the sun moves away from the observer on the stationary plane, it is possible that the sun would appear to set due to the law of perspective. So, yeah, ChatGPT takes the mainstream scientific consensus and purports it forward. So I did ask it to ignore it for a second, and it admitted that due to the law of perspective, as things move away from you, they lower in altitude or elevation from the observer. So from a terrestrial view, the sun would set as it moves farther away from us if it were orbiting around us, which is what is happening. So the law of perspective is a great thing. The Globers need to study it a little bit, and they just act like this is like a gotcha that the sun sets. I'm also going to make a video today at the time of this recording. I don't know when it's going to be uploaded, but if you guys want to check it out on TikTok, I'm going to make a very in-depth video explaining how the sun sets, as well as showing David Wise's video showing the sun stop setting and literally dissipate into the opacity of our atmosphere. So other than that, guys, I don't want to listen to any more of Neil. He's not going to make any other points to try to defend his ball. As you guys can see, it was all fallacious arguments. He didn't purport anything scientific. He just strawmanned us. He just tried to make the flat earth model look dumb by poisoning the well. Other than that, I'll let Derek finish out the intro. I'll finish with this. Guys, like the video, share the video, subscribe, turn on the bell notifications, and send this video to your favorite heliosexual that thinks we're on a ball. I hope that they will watch this and realizing what's happening in Professor Dave's videos, Simon Dan's videos, and also what Neil deGrasse Tyson is purporting as scientific evidence against the flat earth in the mainstream. So we are almost to 1,000 subscribers on here. We really appreciate it. And also, the more effort that you guys put into liking and commenting and subscribing and sharing, the more videos that we're going to put out. So it's dependent on you guys to try to help us get this content out there. So other than that, Derek, I'll let you wrap up the video and we'll throw in the outro.
Yeah, guys, you are the backbone to what Caleb and I are doing. We need you to participate in what we're doing so we could continue doing it. Hit like, subscribe, share. Let's just keep growing this thing. I just want to end with this. If Neil was really a scientific individual who was trying to prove that the Earth is a ball and that the flat Earth is a wrong argument, he'd be using things like refraction and the bending of light and all of these different things, like how it is possible for both models to explain sunsets and boat sinking. He'd explain this to you. He'd say, this is possible on both models, but because of X, Y, and Z, we know it's the globe. He doesn't do that. He doesn't even give you the opportunity to look at it from a non-biased point. He creates this entire straw man argument that he uses to mislead you so you don't even think about the things that we're pointing out here. And that's why we're making these videos. We want you guys to see it in the eyes of somebody who's thought about it, right? Because it's really easy to just go along with the crowd. It's really easy to just see this video and put zero thought into it and believe what he is saying is what we believe. So after you see this video and all of the others that are going to be in this series, you are going to see that the globe people and all of the people who defend this model, they have nothing but fallacious arguments that they use to mislead you and to deceive you. And these people are playing you for a fool. And anybody who had any substance whatsoever, they would want to know that that's what's happening. So I hope that those of you hearing this message are capable of the free thought necessary to break free from this delusion. And all you do is put a little bit of that thought into the things that you're being told and the things that you're expecting to believe and see what happens. Thanks, guys.
Later, guys.